I want to tell you a story about two nations, a nation of hope and a nation of fear. These two nations are actually one nation, the United States of America. Not too long ago, I made a video saying how I was ashamed at my country because of Donald Trump. And I do not back up from what I said for an instant. I feel shame every time I look at the American flag, knowing that Donald Trump is supposed to be representing that. I feel shame every time I hear the national anthem and wondering that if Donald Trump actually knows the words while he's standing there pretending like he's a soldier giving a military salute. I feel shame that a subset of our country voted for this, voted for the chaos that's happening in this country and abroad. But on Saturday, March 28th, I was given hope. The No Kings protests that happened all around the country, that numbered in the millions of people attending them, not only in this country, but other countries around the world, because they all see, as we do, the danger that Donald Trump represents to the world, not just the United States, but the world. Donald Trump has made a country of fear. We're trying to make a country of hope, a nation of hope. We're protesting the man, not the position, not the government, the man, Donald Trump, and the fools behind him, the J.D. Vances, the Whiskey Pete Hegseths. We're protesting all of them because all of them have done nothing but sown chaos in every aspect of our nation, to the point where the midterm elections are in danger because Donald Trump is trying to set fire to them. That's why we protested. I use the word we. I didn't go out and protest myself because on that Saturday I had to work. We all protest in different ways. I post videos here on YouTube, on TikTok, on Twitter, on my Facebook page. That's how I protest. If I had the opportunity, I would be on the streets with them if I had the chance. But I didn't, so I didn't. Now I want to talk to you about the nation of fear. Not the fear that Donald Trump is creating. No. He's done that already. But the nation of fear that Donald Trump and the rest of his minions in and out of government are drowning in, are trapped in. This weekend, obviously, was the weekend of CPAC, the Conservative Political Action Committee. And it wasn't a celebration as we all used to think it was, a conservative celebration or a cult meeting of Donald Trump's biggest supporters. This was nothing more than a nation of fear, afraid that the MAGA is going to fall, and it is falling. We're seeing some of the biggest voices in the MAGA movement actually go against Donald Trump. You would think that wouldn't be possible, but it's happening. More and more of the MAGA cult is actually going against Donald Trump. A few, not a lot, but just enough to make sure that Donald Trump is impeached and the rest of his regime starts running for the hills. That is a nation of fear that Donald Trump created that he has no way of getting out of. I have hope thanks to what I saw this past weekend. And I see the fear in Donald Trump's eyes and in the eyes of his cohorts. I see their fear because they know what they did was wrong, supporting a man who tore this country apart. A man who has started a war when he said there will be no new wars, that America would never fight another war. But he started one in order to show how tough he is. All he showed is how afraid he truly is. Afraid that his biggest secret, the Epstein situation, is going to blow up in his face, along with the failing economy, along with the failed policies, along with plots to rip apart our government from within and without. Trump said during his campaign, we need to eliminate the enemy from within. Trump has become the enemy from within, using his own words. That's not me talking, that's Donald Trump talking. In his hopes of eliminating the enemy from within, he has done nothing but to show that he has become the very thing he wants to eliminate. And again, for the protests, I said this earlier, but I'm going to say it again. The protests are about the man, Donald Trump, and his cohorts. Is not against the government. I still love my country, although I have nothing but shame for it, thanks to Donald Trump and his cohorts. But I would never, in a million years, take up arms against my nation. I will never destroy my nation like that, the way Donald Trump is trying to now. Trump has done nothing but show how destructive he really is. We are doing everything we can to save it. Now, these protests have lit a fire under Donald Trump's ass. We all know how he's going to react to them. At first, he called them minuscule, small, don't really matter. But they're picking up a lot of steam. Millions of people, the same millions, are working together to fight against this monster. But we need to do our part in November. All these protests won't mean anything unless action is brought before them. Donald Trump is hell-bent of getting his quote-unquote Save America Act, which will disenfranchise millions of voters who are women, of the LGBTQ, and especially men and women of color, particularly African Americans. We know he's trying to do everything he can to steal these elections, because if the Democratic Party does take the House and the Senate, he, Vance, Hegseth, and the rest of his cabal are over. We need to do our part. Now, the SAVE Act isn't law yet. However, even if it becomes law, do what you need to do, regardless how much it costs and how long it takes. If you have to stand in line for 10 hours to vote, that is what you must do. We know Trump and his ilk are going to intimidate us, are going to do everything they can to stop us from voting. Don't let them win. Trump may want to rule like a king, like an emperor, like a Führer, like his hero, Adolf Hitler. But we are not going to let him. He still answers to us, the people of the United States, regardless of how bad he wants to be God. He still answers to us. CTP, know the truth. God bless. Peace to the left, justice to the right.